Hey, Dr. Matt here. So, would you like beef, pork, or chicken with your meal? How many have heard a waitress ask that before? I'll take chicken, maybe your buddy says or you say, because my doctor told me that red meat causes cancer, causes heart disease, is messing with my cholesterol, and my last labs show high cholesterol. So I need to decrease the amount of beef I'm consuming in order to help my cholesterol, decrease my risk of heart disease and cancer, right? And yes, I realize that the chicken breast came from a chicken that has been huddled next to tens of thousands of other chickens, in a little sanctuary warehouse, never to see the light of day, never to see sunlight during their lifetime, or have eaten off a natural pasture. But, I don't want heart disease or cancer. Now, you may not say all that stuff, but potentially these are ideas that are percolating in your head, because we've been taught that chicken is somehow superior to beef in its health benefits. And, I've heard myself say this. I've heard myself think this historically. I remember me getting chicken sandwiches or chicken breasts instead of steaks and that kind of stuff. And, I hear it all the time from patients who have high cholesterol or have a family history of heart disease who say chicken is what they eat day after day after day, instead of, any form of beef, because they don't want those things. And if you eat chicken, it takes away that risk. Now, we will talk about chicken in a future episode, but today I just wanted to address the red meat or the beef bashing portion, and maybe find out, is it okay to eat beef? Has beef earned this reputation? Is this real? Is this authentic as a causer of angst and dysfunction and disease in the body? Or potentially are there other reasons? Is there a political ploy behind it potentially? Seems like there's politics behind everything these days, right? So the ultra trustworthy WHO, also known as the World Health Organization, has classified processed meats, which would be like ham, bacon, salmon, salami. Salmon is fantastic. Eat all the salmon you want. These are unedited, folks. Salami, hot dogs, like Frankfurts, as a group 1 carcinogen, which that basically means that these substances or things or processes that they create in the body are known to be cancerous, are known to promote cancer. And so there's strong evidence that suggests that eating processed meats, having processed meats as a regular part of our routine, can indeed promote cancer activity in a human being beyond if they didn't consume these processed meats. In fact, eating processed meats, like I mentioned, can increase the risk of bowel cancer, which would be like stomach, large intestine cancer, colon cancer. And there's a 30-year, along with it, there's a 30-year research review from the clinical reviews in food, science, and nutrition that showed that there was an 18% increased risk of heart disease as well for those who ate processed meats on a regular basis. And namely, when we say processed meats, like I mentioned above, we're talking about sausage, bacon, ham. Those are all from pork, I know. But it could be chicken sausage. It could be, beef sausage. It could be turkey sausage. Essentially, it's the processed meat itself, the processing of it, the nitrating of it, the preservatives, all that have this negative effect on the human body. And according to just like this huge pool of research, it's at about 50 grams of processed meat a day where we start to have these problems. So if you eat 50 grams of processed meat, then, which is like basically you've got these chopsticks here, so these would be processed meat. These are about 32 grams of meat per serving. And so if you ate 2 of these, you'd be a little bit over that 50 gram mark. And that increases your risk of these bowel cancers by about 1.8 times. And that's on a daily basis, right? So it's not like, for the people that are concerned, ultra concerned about cancer, that word cancer just, turns on that fight or flight response to your body. Your sympathetic nervous system is about going into overdrive right now because you ate a chopstick at one point. It's not that eating, a piece of pepperoni, eating some ham at Thanksgiving, these kind of things are just massively increasing your risk of bowel cancer all of a sudden. It is consistency over time. So that 1.8 times was when people ate this on a regular daily basis, that 50 grams a day. And with each increasing 50 grams, then their risk of colon cancer and stomach cancer went up markedly. So that compounding on itself could be a problem. But I would suggest, it's like any other processed food. If you eat it regularly, you're at a much greater risk of paying a high price for those decisions later on in life. So it really comes down to processed food is processed food. And if it's processed food, you're going to get processed results. And unfortunately, processed results for our being doesn't cause us to stay around a long time like processed food stays around a long time. It shuts our body down. So what these studies fail to look at, though, is along with that is that the lifestyle of a person who eats processed meat all the time. What is that lifestyle? As you may be aware of, that lifestyle is probably a little different than somebody who eats whole organic foods all the time, right? More than likely they're getting, fast food, these prepared foods, TV dinners, frozen foods, throwing them in the microwave, heating them up on the go, using fake creamers, French fries, all this kind of stuff. They're likely not consuming a high fruit, high vegetable intake, robust diet full of phytochemicals, right? And there's no doubt about it. We talked about so many times, but if our life is devoid of food inputs that promote life, and it's full of food inputs that promote disease and dysfunction in the body, then we're probably going to get disease and dysfunction. There's just no way around it. The information our body receives from the external environment, from the foods we consume, is what it gets to use to create us. So eating packaged food, it's devoid of vitamins, it's devoid of minerals, it's devoid of phytochemicals that support the acts of, detoxification, of cleansing, of DNA repair. And we already live in a toxic world. So our toxicity, it's just increasing. And as toxicity increases, our risk for disease and dysfunction increases as well. I've recommended many times over a carnivore-ish, in fact, 100% meat diet in many cases, for a season for different patients over the years, with different autoimmune diseases, with different skin diseases, digestive issues. And I've seen crazy results, complete miracles in many of these cases. And so I know that there is a strong place in food, especially meat, unprocessed meat, can have a massive positive effect on a human being. Even myself, sometimes I find it intense to recommend such a high meat routine to a patient. In general, this is only for a season, not forever. But, when you consume a highly unprocessed meat as your routine versus a highly processed meat, you're living in two different worlds. Those are completely, by the time you consume them, that's two different animals you're eating. So consider, is the meat I'm consuming and my risk, is it cooked meat or is it processed meat? And if it's processed, your risk is higher. So something you can do with cooking meat at home is to add garlic, add onions, add rosemary, add ginger, mustard, horseradish, black pepper, curry, turmeric. Add these spices, add these herbs to your vegetables, to your meat. And that can greatly decrease, even with unprocessed meat, greatly decrease and neutralize the negative byproducts of cooking meat. Because for sure, when we cook meat, we do create acrylamides and different toxicants that can be problematic for our digestive tract, for the inflammatory process of the body. But when we add in these exceptional ingredients, like I just mentioned, especially like rosemary is incredible, then we're not going to be getting that negative effect, that side effect potential. And the studies on like unprocessed meat, grass-fed beef, that kind of stuff, there isn't any that show that it causes these major diseases and dysfunctions like there is for the process. So yes, I would be 100% concerned if I was consuming, highly processed meats on a regular basis. There's consequences to that. There's no doubt about it. But if you are not consuming on a regular basis and here and there, then you're fine. You don't need to be concerned about it. Like somebody else who's eating processed meat all the time. And, like I said before, it comes down to the lifestyle. If you're eating fries with that sausage and biscuits and gravy, or a milkshake with your burger that is sitting between fluffy white cardboard and is loaded with mayo that's loaded with canola oil and ketchup that's crusted over with corn syrup, that is compounded negativity going in your body. Now that's low value food. You can't expect your body to be free of disease and dysfunction if you're putting in the body disease and dysfunction. That is compounded processing at its finest. On the other hand, though, if you're consuming, instead of that meal, grass-fed ground beef with vegetables, throw some spices in there, and a sweet potato, you're literally living in an entirely different food world, and your body's experience with food is going to be entirely different. And one is informing the body to destruction. The latter is informing your body, informing your DNA. It's a delight, you could say, a delight to your DNA. So we want to delight our DNA, and that's what whole, real, life-giving, grass-fed, free-range, all those beautiful words that you see with food can do for us. I would love to hear your thoughts, any comments you have. I know there's strong opinions related to meat, no meat, everything in between, turkey, chicken, sausages, vegetarian, vegan, carnivore, paleo, all these things. So I'd love to hear your comment, any thoughts you have in the comments, any awesome things you've experienced via either one of these ways, things you've experienced that have been really negative via meat and everything in between. Because I will say, there's patients, that we have trouble eating red meat. There are patients that have trouble eating chicken, patients that have trouble eating turkey, pork, patients that have trouble eating broccoli. So there's everything in between, which I think is one thing to always consider is when it comes to food, do not pigeonhole yourself. Do not get caught up in saying this is the only way, because it might be the main way for you, but it could maybe not the way at all for the person sitting next to you. And both of you could experience robust health while eating very, very differently. Yet, the one thing that would be the same is that both will be unprocessed. All right, I'm Dr. Matt. Share, like, subscribe. Love to get your feedback. Talk to you guys later.